This is my true story. I found an old box under my barn floor yesterday, been fixing the boards. My hammer hit something hollow. I pulled up the wood and found a metal box buried there. Rusted. Old. Wrapped in cloth. I opened it and found letters. Dozens of letters. All in my son's handwriting. My son who disappeared 20 years ago. My son who I thought maybe died. Maybe got lost. Maybe forgot about me. But no. These letters told me the truth. And what I read made me tremble in tears. But you won't believe what those letters said. Before that, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. And please subscribe to this channel so that my stories can reach more people. My son's mother died when he was 3 years old. Cancer. Quick and brutal. One day she was fine. 6 months later she was gone. I was 26 years old. Suddenly alone with a toddler. No family nearby. No help. No money. Just me and a little boy who kept asking for his mama. I had to figure it out. Had to be both parents. Had to work and cook and clean and raise him. I worked on farms, manual labor, planting crops, harvesting, fixing equipment, whatever paid. The work was hard, the pay was terrible, but it kept us alive. We lived in a small house on the edge of someone else's farm. Rented, cheap, 1 bedroom, leaking roof, drafty windows. I gave my son the bedroom. I slept on the couch. Wanted him to have his own space, his own place. I worked from sunrise to past sunset. Sometimes didn't get home until 8 or 9 at night. My son would be waiting, hungry. I would cook whatever we had. Rice, beans, potatoes, cheap food. Food that stretched. I always made sure his plate was full. Always made sure he ate first. Sometimes there wasn't enough for both of us. I would tell him I already ate. Tell him I wasn't hungry. He believed me. He ate. I went to bed with an empty stomach. Did that more times than I can count. But he never knew. Never went hungry. That's all that mattered. His clothes were always clean, always decent. I bought him new shoes every year. New pants when he outgrew the old ones. New shirts. Cost money we didn't have. But I made it work. I wore the same clothes for years. Same boots with holes in them. Same jacket with patches. Didn't matter. As long as my son looked okay. As long as other kids didn't make fun of him. I thought I was protecting him. Thought I was being a good father. Didn't realize he was ashamed anyway. Ashamed of the house. Ashamed of our life. Ashamed of me. I helped him with homework every night. Sat at the kitchen table. Helped him read. Helped him with math. I didn't finish high school myself. Dropped out to work. But I tried. Tried to help him learn. Tried to make sure he stayed in school. Stayed educated. Had a chance at something better. He was smart. Really smart. Teachers told me he was gifted. Said he could go to college, could be something. I was so proud. Thought all my work was worth it. Thought I was giving him a future. Thought he would appreciate it someday. Understand that I did my best. That I loved him more than anything. I never dated. Never remarried. Some women showed interest. But I said no. Said I had a son to raise. Didn't have time for relationships. Didn't want to confuse him. Didn't want him to feel replaced. Wanted him to know he was my priority. My only priority. I gave him everything. Every ounce of energy. Every dollar I made. Every moment I had. My entire life revolved around him. Around making sure he was okay. Making sure he had what he needed. I thought that's what good fathers do. Sacrifice everything. Give everything. Love without limits. I told him every day that I loved him. Told him he was smart. Told him he could be anything he wanted. Told him to dream big. To work hard. To never give up. I believed in him completely. Thought he was special. Thought he would do great things. I was right about that. He was special. But not in the way I thought. He was special enough to hate me quietly. To smile at me while planning his escape. To let me believe we were a team while he counted down the days until he could leave. I loved him with everything I had. And he couldn't wait to be free of me. I was a poor father, not a bad father. A poor father. There's a difference. I couldn't buy him the things other kids had. Couldn't give him a big house or fancy clothes or vacations. But I gave him everything else. My time, my energy, my heart. I thought that was enough. Thought love was enough. But I was wrong. My son needed more than love. He needed money, status, things, and I couldn't give him that. So he left. And for 20 years I wondered why, wondered what I did wrong. Now I know. It was a Tuesday morning in June, 20 years ago. My son had just turned 18, graduated high school 2 weeks before. I was so proud. He was the first person in our family to graduate. I took the day off work, went to the ceremony, watched him walk across that stage, took photos with a disposable camera. He smiled in the photos, looked happy. I thought everything was good. Thought we made it through the hard years. Thought things would get better now. He could get a job, maybe go to community college. We could work together, build a better life. I was excited about the future, about our future. That Tuesday morning I woke up early like always, made breakfast, called my son. He didn't answer. I knocked on his bedroom door. No answer. I opened it. The room was empty. Bed wasn't slept in. I thought maybe he stayed at a friend's house. Didn't think much of it. He was 18, an adult, could make his own choices. I went to work, came home that night. His room was still empty. I started to worry. Called his friends. None of them had seen him. Called the school. They said he hadn't been around. I waited up all night. He never came home. The next day I called the police, reported him missing. They asked questions. How old is he? I said 18. They said 18 is an adult. He's allowed to leave. I said, but he didn't tell me. Didn't say goodbye. They said that's not illegal. They took a report but didn't seem concerned. Said most kids come back after a few days. Said he probably just needed space. I said you don't understand. We're close. He wouldn't just leave. The officer looked at me with pity. Said sometimes kids surprise us. I went home and waited. Days turned into weeks. No sign of him, no call, no letter, nothing. I searched everywhere. Drove to the next town, asked around, showed his photo. Nobody had seen him. Went to the next town. Same thing. I took time off work I couldn't afford, spent money I didn't have on gas, driving around looking for my son. I checked hospitals, checked shelters, checked jails. Nothing. He vanished, completely, like he never existed. I called his friends every week, asked if they heard from him. They said no. Some of them stopped answering, got tired of my calls, got tired of my desperation, but I couldn't stop, couldn't give up. He was my son, my only family, my whole life. Months passed, then a year, then 2 years. I filed missing person reports, put up flyers, posted on early internet forums. Nothing worked. Nobody had seen him. Nobody knew where he was. I started thinking the worst, started thinking he was dead, that something terrible happened, that I would never know what. I cried every night, blamed myself, thought maybe I did something wrong, maybe I was a bad father, maybe he left because of me. But I couldn't figure out what I did, couldn't remember a fight, couldn't remember anything bad happening. We were fine, or so I thought. I kept his room exactly the same, didn't touch anything. His clothes in the closet, his books on the shelf, his posters on the wall. Everything exactly where he left it. I dusted it once a week, made the bed even though nobody slept in it, kept the door open, like he might walk back in any day, like he just went to the store, like this was all temporary. Neighbors thought I was crazy, thought I was in denial. Maybe I was. But I couldn't accept he was gone, couldn't accept I would never see him again. So I waited, and waited, and waited. Years passed. 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. Still no word, still no sign, still nothing. People stopped asking about him, stopped mentioning him, moved on with their lives. But I couldn't. Every birthday I made him a cake. Every Christmas I wrapped a present, set 2 plates at dinner, set 2 chairs. Talked to him like he was there. Told him about my day, asked him about his. Answered myself in my head. Imagined what he would say. I was losing my mind. I knew it. But I couldn't stop. Couldn't let go. Couldn't accept that my son chose to erase me from his life. Until yesterday. Until I found that box. Until I read those letters. and learned the truth. For 20 years I lived in that same house, the house my son grew up in, the house he left. I could have moved. Probably should have. The place was falling apart. Roof leaked worse every year. Pipes froze in winter. Foundation was cracking. But I stayed. Because what if he came back? What if he came looking for me and I wasn't there? What if he finally decided to come home and found strangers living in our house? I couldn't risk it. Couldn't leave. So I stayed. Fixed what I could. Lived with what I couldn't fix. And waited. His room became a shrine. I kept everything perfect. Vacuumed every week even though nobody walked on the carpet. Washed his sheets even though nobody slept in them. Kept his clothes organized even though nobody wore them. His graduation photo sat on the dresser. Smiling face. Young face. The last photo I had of him. I looked at it every day. Tried to imagine what he looked like now. He would be 38 years old. A grown man. Maybe married. Maybe with kids. Maybe successful. Maybe happy. Maybe thinking about his old dad sometimes. Or maybe not. Maybe he forgot all about me. That thought hurt the most. Every birthday I made a cake, his favorite. Chocolate with vanilla frosting. Bought candles. Lit them. Sang happy birthday to an empty room. Made a wish. The same wish every year. That he would come home. That he would walk through that door. That I would see him again. I blew out the candles alone. Cut the cake. Ate one piece. Threw the rest away. Did that 18 times. 18 birthdays without him. 18 cakes in the trash. But I couldn't stop. It was tradition. It was hope. It was all I had. Christmas was worse. I bought him presents, wrapped them, put them under the tree, small tree, cheap tree, but a tree, with lights and ornaments and presents underneath. One for me, one for him. I opened mine, left his wrapped, put it in his room with all the others. 20 wrapped Christmas presents sitting in his closet. Never opened. Never will be. But I kept buying them, kept wrapping them, kept pretending he would come home and open them, kept pretending this nightmare would end. I set 2 plates at dinner, every single night, for 20 years. 1 plate for me, 1 plate for him. His spot at the table always open, always waiting. I ate alone, talked to his empty chair, told him about my day, about work, about the weather, about nothing important, just talked, just filled the silence. People who saw me do this thought I was insane, thought I lost my mind. Maybe I did, but it was better than accepting he was gone. Better than eating alone in silence, admitting I had nobody. This way I could pretend he was just running late, just busy, just about to walk in any minute. Neighbors pitied me. I saw it in their eyes. Poor old man, lost his son. Can't let go, can't move on. They stopped inviting me to things, stopped asking how I was. I made them uncomfortable, made them sad, reminded them that terrible things happen, that children leave, that love isn't always enough. So they avoided me. Crossed the street when they saw me coming, pretended not to be home when I knocked. I was alone, completely alone, had been for 20 years, just me and memories and hope that refused to die. I thought about giving up, thought about accepting he was gone, thought about packing up his room, donating his clothes, throwing away the birthday cakes and Christmas presents, moving on with my life. But I couldn't. Something inside me wouldn't let go, wouldn't accept it. Kept saying, wait, keep waiting. He'll come back. He has to come back. So I waited. Through the loneliness, through the pain, through the decades. I waited. And yesterday, while fixing the barn floor, I found out why he left. Found out what he really thought of me. Found out I was waiting for someone who was ashamed of me, who hated our life, who wanted nothing more than to forget I existed. And that knowledge broke something inside me that 20 years of absence couldn't break. Yesterday, I was fixing the barn floor, the barn behind my house. Old barn, older than me. Wood was rotting. Some boards were completely gone. Holes in the floor. Dangerous. I'd been putting off fixing it for years. No money, no energy. But yesterday I decided enough was enough. Needed to fix it before the whole thing collapsed. So I got my tools, my hammer, some nails, some wood planks I saved from other projects. Started pulling up the rotten boards, replacing them one by one. Slow work, hard work. My back hurt. My knees hurt. But I kept going. I was working on a section near the back wall. Pulled up a board that was completely rotted through. Underneath was dirt. Normal. That's what should be there. But when I hit the dirt with my hammer to level it, I heard a sound. A hollow sound. Like there was empty space underneath. I hit it again. Same sound. Something was buried there. I got a shovel. Started digging. Didn't have to dig deep. Maybe 6 inches. My shovel hit metal. I cleared away the dirt with my hands. Found a metal box. Rusted. Old. Maybe a foot long. 8 inches wide. Heavy. I pulled it out. Wiped off the dirt. It was wrapped in cloth. Old cloth. Rotted. Fell apart when I touched it. The box had a latch. Rusted shut. I pried it open with a screwdriver. Took some effort. Finally it popped open. Inside were papers, letters, envelopes, all yellowed with age, all stacked neatly. I pulled them out. My hands were shaking. I didn't know why yet. Just had a feeling. A bad feeling. Something about this box felt wrong, felt important, felt like it was going to change everything. I looked at the first envelope. No address, no stamp, just blank. I opened it. Pulled out the letter inside. The paper was thin, fragile. The handwriting was familiar. Very familiar. It was my son's handwriting. I recognized it immediately. The way he made his letters. The slant. The size. It was definitely his. My heart started pounding. Why was there a letter from my son buried under the barn? Why had I never seen it? Why was it hidden? I started reading, and my world fell apart. The letter wasn't addressed to anyone. No dear dad, no dear anyone. Just words on paper, like a journal entry, like he was writing to himself. The first line made my stomach drop. It said, "I can't stand living here anymore." Said, "Every day in this house makes me hate myself." Said being his son was the worst thing that ever happened to him. I read it again. Read it 3 times. Couldn't believe what I was seeing. My son. My boy. Saying he hated being my son. Saying our life together was the worst thing. I felt sick. Actually, sick. Put the letter down. Tried to breathe. Tried to process. But I couldn't. Couldn't understand. I picked up another letter. Different date. Written a few months before the first one. This one was worse. Said he was ashamed of me. Ashamed of our house. Ashamed of our poverty. Said his friends made fun of him. Said he lied and told them his father was dead. Dead. He told people I was dead rather than admit I was his father. Rather than admit we were poor. Rather than admit we struggled. I was dead to him. Had been for years. Before he even left. I was already erased. Already gone. Just didn't know it. I looked at the stack of letters. There were dozens, maybe 30, maybe 40. All written by my son. All hidden under the barn floor. All containing his real thoughts. His real feelings. Things he never said to my face. Things he never wanted me to know. But here they were. Buried. Hidden. Forgotten, maybe. Or maybe he wanted them found. Maybe this was his confession. His explanation. His goodbye. I didn't want to read more. Didn't want to know. But I had to. Had to understand. Had to know why he left. Why he never came back. Why he hated me so much. So I kept reading. Letter after letter. And with each one my heart broke a little more. I sat down on the barn floor. Couldn't stand anymore. My legs were shaking. I picked up the next letter. This one was dated 2 years before he left. He would have been 16. The letter started with, "I'm ashamed of you, Dad." Those words. Written in his handwriting, clear as day. "I'm ashamed of you." He wrote that he hated bringing friends over. Hated them seeing our house, the peeling paint, the broken porch, the rusty car in the driveway. He wrote that one time, a friend came over and later told everyone at school that my son lived in a shack. Everyone laughed. My son said he wanted to die that day, wanted to disappear, and he blamed me. Blamed me for being poor, for not giving him better. He wrote about his clothes, said he hated wearing the same pants all week, said other kids noticed, said they called him poor boy, said one girl he liked wouldn't talk to him because he was too poor. He wrote that he started skipping lunch, not because he wasn't hungry, but because his lunch was always cheap, always the same, peanut butter sandwiches or plain bread with nothing. He said he was embarrassed, so he threw his lunch away and told people he wasn't hungry. I never knew he was starving himself out of shame. I thought I was helping, thought I was feeding him, but I was humiliating him. Another letter talked about parent-teacher night. He wrote that he begged me not to come. I didn't remember that. Or maybe I did and ignored it. Thought he was just being a teenager. But he wrote that he was scared. Scared his friends would see me. See my work clothes, my dirty hands, my tired face. See that I was just a farm worker, just a poor man. He wrote that when I did come, he pretended not to know me. Stood far away. Acted like I was someone else's parent. And when I waved at him, he looked away. I remembered that. Remembered feeling hurt. But I told myself he was embarrassed like all teenagers. Didn't realize it was deeper. Didn't realize he was actually ashamed. Ashamed of me, of who I was, of what I couldn't give him. He wrote about his friends' families, how they had nice houses, new cars, money for things. He wrote about going to a friend's birthday party, said the house was huge, said they had a pool, said the dad was a lawyer, wore a suit, drove a BMW. My son wrote that he watched that dad, watched how he talked, how he acted, how everyone respected him. And then he wrote, "I wished that man was my father instead of you." Those words destroyed me. Worse than anything else. My own son wishing for a different father. Wishing I was someone else. Someone better. Someone with money. He didn't want me. He wanted a replacement. Someone who could give him the life he thought he deserved. Another letter said, "I work so hard to pretend we're not as poor as we are." Said he lied constantly. Told people we had more than we did. Made up stories about vacations we never took. About things we never had. He wrote that lying was exhausting. But it was better than the truth. Better than admitting his father was a poor farm worker who could barely pay rent. He wrote that sometimes he fantasized about running away. About starting over somewhere new. Somewhere nobody knew him. Somewhere he could be someone else. Someone whose father wasn't an embarrassment. The cruelest part was the last line of that letter. He wrote, "I love you, Dad, but I hate my life with you." Love and hate in the same sentence. He loved me, but hated me. Hated what I represented. Hated what I couldn't give him. Hated that I tried my best and it wasn't good enough. I sat there holding that letter, reading that line over and over. Crying. Actually crying. My son loved me, but his love wasn't enough to overcome his shame, his embarrassment, his desire for more. And that broke me. Broke me in a way 20 years of absence couldn't. Because now I knew. Now I understood. He didn't leave because something happened. He left because of me. Because being my son was unbearable. And I never knew. Never saw it coming. Never had a chance to fix it. I picked up another letter. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the paper. This one was dated 6 months before he left. He was 17. The letter started different. More angry. Less sad. He wrote, "I've been thinking about how to get away from you. Not just leave, but really get away. Make sure you can't follow me. Can't find me. Can't drag me back to this pathetic life." I stopped breathing. Read it again. He was planning. Planning how to escape me. Planning how to make sure I couldn't be part of his life. This wasn't just teenage rebellion. This was calculated. Thought out. He wanted me gone from his life completely. Then I read the next part, and my heart stopped. He wrote, "I thought about filing a police report against you. Making something up, saying you hit me or hurt me or did something bad. Something that would get you arrested, put in jail. Then I could be free, could live with a foster family, could maybe get adopted by someone better, someone with money, someone who wouldn't embarrass me." I had to read that 3 times, 4 times. My son, my boy, The child I raised alone, the child I sacrificed everything for, thought about putting me in jail, thought about lying to police, thought about destroying my life, just so he could be free of me, just so he could have a different family, a better family, anyone but me. He wrote that he researched it, looked up what he would need to say, what kind of accusations would work. He wrote about practicing his story, making sure it sounded believable, making sure he could cry on command. He planned it, actually planned to destroy me, to take away my freedom, my reputation, my life, all so he could escape the shame of being my son. I felt sick reading it, actually sick. Got up, walked outside, threw up in the dirt, came back, kept reading. Had to know if he did it, if he followed through, if that's why he left, if I was about to get arrested and just didn't know it yet. The letter continued. He wrote, but I couldn't do it. Not because I didn't want to. I did. I wanted you gone, wanted you in jail, wanted to be free, but I couldn't. Because you're still my father. Because somewhere deep down, I still love you. Even though I hate you. Even though you ruined my life by being poor, by being pathetic, by being you. I couldn't destroy you. Couldn't live with that guilt. So I decided on a different plan. I'll just leave. Just disappear. You'll never find me, never hear from me again. And that way I get my freedom without having to destroy you. That's my gift to you, Dad. Not destroying you when I easily could have. His gift. Not destroying me was his gift. I read that line 10 times, 20 times. Couldn't process it. My son thought about ruining my life, about sending me to jail with false accusations, about taking everything from me, and he stopped. Not because he loved me too much, but because he didn't want the guilt, didn't want to live with what he did. So instead, he just left, just vanished, and thought that was kindness, thought that was mercy, that leaving without destroying me first was a gift, that I should be grateful he only abandoned me instead of imprisoning me. I wanted to scream, wanted to tear up the letter, wanted to pretend I never read it. But I couldn't. I just sat there, numb, broken. Realizing that my son, the person I loved most in the world, the person I gave everything for, came so close to destroying me, came so close to ending my life, not just leaving, but actively ruining it, sending me to jail for crimes I didn't commit, taking away my freedom, my future, everything. And the only reason he didn't was guilt. Not love, not respect, not memory of all I did for him, just guilt. Just not wanting to feel bad about himself. That's what stopped him. And then he left anyway. Left me to wonder and worry and search for 20 years, never knowing he was alive, never knowing he was okay, never knowing he chose this, chose to torture me with absence instead of lies. And somehow that was supposed to be better. I kept reading. Couldn't stop now. Had to know everything. Had to understand the full truth. The next letter was about school, about his classmates. He wrote that every day was torture. Every day he had to pretend he wasn't poor, pretend his life was normal. He wrote about a boy named Marcus, rich kid. Marcus wore designer clothes, had the newest phone, drove a car his parents bought him. Everyone wanted to be Marcus's friend. My son wrote that Marcus found out where we lived, drove by our house one day, saw it. Saw how small it was, how broken. The next day at school, Marcus told everyone, made jokes, called my son trailer trash. Even though we didn't live in a trailer, just a small house, but the name stuck. Kids started calling him that. Trailer trash, white trash, poor boy. My son wrote that he tried to fight back, tried to defend himself. But what could he say? We were poor. That was the truth. He couldn't deny it. Couldn't pretend anymore. So he just took it, took the insults, took the laughter, came home and cried in his room. I never knew, never heard him crying. Or maybe I did and thought it was something else. Thought it was normal teenage stuff. Didn't realize he was being destroyed at school every single day. Destroyed because of me. Because I couldn't give him more. Couldn't give him the life other kids had. Another letter talked about a school dance. He wanted to go, wanted to ask a girl, but he didn't have money for nice clothes. Didn't have money for flowers. Didn't have money for anything. He wrote that he asked me for money. I remembered that. I told him I didn't have it, told him maybe next time. He wrote that he hated me that day, hated me more than ever, said all his friends were going, all of them except him, because his dad was too poor, too useless. He wrote that he went to his room and punched the wall, put a hole in it. I found that hole, asked him what happened. He said he tripped, fell into the wall. I believed him, fixed it, never knew it was rage, never knew it was hatred, hatred for me. He wrote about clothes, wrote that he wore the same 5 shirts, rotated them, washed them on weekends, hoped nobody noticed. But they did. Kids noticed everything. They commented, asked why he never had new clothes. He made up excuses, said he liked these shirts, said he was minimalist, but they knew. They knew he was poor, knew his dad couldn't afford more. He wrote that he started stealing, took shirts from the lost and found at school, wore them, pretended they were his. Got caught once. Teacher asked why he was wearing someone else's shirt. He said it was his. They didn't believe him. Called me. I had to come to school. Had to explain we couldn't afford clothes. Had to watch my son stand there humiliated. He wrote that he wanted to die that day. Wanted the ground to swallow him. And he blamed me. Blamed me for everything. Another letter said I told my friends my father was dead. Said it was easier that way. Easier than explaining why you're never around. Why you work all the time. Why we have nothing. I just said you died. Said it was a car accident. They felt sorry for me. Gave me sympathy. It was better than the truth. Better than admitting you're alive but useless. Alive but an embarrassment. He told people I was dead. His friends thought I was dead. For years. And he let them think it. Preferred them thinking he was an orphan than admitting I was his father. That hurt worse than anything. Worse than him leaving. Worse than him wanting to put me in jail. He erased me. Killed me in stories. Made himself an orphan to avoid the shame of claiming me. The letter ended with I practice saying it. My dad is dead. I say it in the mirror. I say it to myself. And every time I say it, I wish it was true. Wish you would just die so I wouldn't have to lie anymore, so I could actually be free. He wished I was dead, wished it, wrote it down. My son wanted me to die, not just leave his life, actually die, so he could be free, so he wouldn't have to carry the shame of having a poor father. And I never knew, never suspected, thought he loved me, thought we were close, but he was wishing I was dead. I put the letters down, sat there on the barn floor. The sun was setting, getting dark. Cold. But I didn't move, just sat there trying to understand, trying to make sense of it. For 20 years, I thought my son left because of something outside our control. Thought maybe he got mixed up with bad people, maybe got scared, maybe had a breakdown, maybe something happened that forced him to run. I made up 100 explanations, 100 reasons, all of them trying to protect him, trying to make him innocent, trying to make it not his fault. But it was his fault. It was his choice. He left because of me, because I wasn't enough, because love wasn't enough, because I was poor and that was unforgivable. I thought back to all those years, all those moments, all the times I worked extra hours, all the times I went without food so he could eat, all the times I wore broken boots so he could have new shoes. I thought I was being a good father, thought I was showing him love, showing him sacrifice, teaching him that family comes first. That you work hard for the people you love. But he didn't see any of that. He just saw poverty, saw lack, saw embarrassment. Every sacrifice I made he saw as proof I was failing. Every time I couldn't buy him something he saw as evidence I wasn't good enough. I thought I was giving him everything. But all he saw was what I couldn't give. I remembered parent-teacher conferences. Remembered how proud I was. How I would sit there and listen to teachers talk about how smart he was, how much potential he had. I would smile, would thank them, would tell my son I was proud, and he would barely look at me. I thought he was shy, thought he was embarrassed like all teenagers, didn't realize he was ashamed. Ashamed to be seen with me, ashamed of my clothes, my accent, my rough hands. Everything about me embarrassed him, and I never knew. Just kept showing up, kept being proud, kept being his father, while he wished I would disappear. I thought about all the times I told him I loved him, Told him he could be anything. Told him to dream big. I meant it. Meant every word. I wanted him to have more than I had. Wanted him to escape poverty, get educated, get a good job, have a better life. I thought that's what every parent wants, to give their children more, to lift them up. I did everything I could, worked myself to exhaustion, sacrificed my health, my happiness, everything, and he hated me for it. Hated me because even my best wasn't good enough, because other dads gave their kids more, because I was at the bottom and he was ashamed to be there with me. I realized I never knew my son. Not really. I knew the version he showed me. The polite boy. The quiet boy. The boy who said yes, sir, and did his homework and didn't cause trouble. But inside, he was someone else. Someone angry. Someone ashamed. Someone planning his escape. Planning to erase me. And I missed all the signs. Or maybe there were no signs. Maybe he was just that good at hiding it. That good at pretending. I looked at him every day and saw my son. Saw the boy I loved. But he looked at me every day and saw his burden. Saw his embarrassment. Saw the reason his life wasn't good enough. The worst part was realizing my love meant nothing. I loved him more than life itself. Would have died for him. Would have done anything for him. But my love couldn't overcome his shame. Couldn't overcome his desire for more. Couldn't overcome the fact that I was poor and he wanted rich. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't buy nice clothes. Love doesn't impress classmates. And my son needed those things more than he needed my love. So he left. Left me. Left my love. Left everything we had. Because what we had wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. And 20 years later, I'm sitting in a barn reading letters that confirm what I always feared. That I failed as a father, not because I didn't love him, but because love alone isn't enough when you have nothing else to give. I picked up the last letter in the box. The paper was dated one day before he left, June 10th. The day before he walked out and never came back. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unfold it. This was it. This was his final thoughts before disappearing. His goodbye that he never said to my face. His explanation that he buried under the barn floor instead of leaving on his bed. I didn't want to read it. Didn't want to know his last thoughts about me. But I had to. Had to finish this. Had to know everything. The letter started, "I can't stay here anymore. Every day in this house reminds me I'll never be good enough because you never were." Those words hit like a punch to the stomach. I'll never be good enough because you never were. He tied his worth to mine, tied his future to my failures. He believed that because I was poor, he would always be poor. Because I was nothing, he would always be nothing, no matter what he did, no matter how hard he tried. My existence was a ceiling he could never break through, and the only way to break free was to cut me out completely. He wrote, "I graduate in 2 weeks. Everyone is talking about college and jobs and futures. I have none of that. No money for college, no connections for good jobs, no future except more poverty, more shame, more of this life I hate. And it's your fault. You could have done more, could have worked harder, could have been better, but you settled. Settled for being poor, settled for this pathetic life, and you dragged me down with you. I'm 18 now, an adult, and I refuse to drown with you anymore." He blamed me for everything, for his lack of opportunity, for his shame, for his future that he saw as hopeless. He said I could have done more, could have worked harder. I worked 16-hour days, worked until my body broke, until I couldn't stand straight, until my hands were permanently damaged. But it wasn't enough. It would never be enough, because the problem wasn't effort. The problem was I was born poor, stayed poor, and he couldn't forgive me for that. Couldn't forgive me for not magically becoming rich, for not giving him the life he thought he deserved. The letter continued. "I've thought about telling you I'm leaving, thought about explaining. But what's the point? You'll cry. You'll beg me to stay. You'll make it about your feelings. About your pain. You'll never understand that staying here is killing me, that being your son is suffocating, that I need to be free of you to have any chance at a real life. So I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to go, and you'll never find me. I'll change my name, change everything, start over, become someone new, someone whose father isn't a poor farmer, someone who has a chance. He knew I would cry, knew I would beg, knew it would destroy me, and he did it anyway. Chose to hurt me rather than face an uncomfortable conversation. Chose to let me wonder and search and suffer for decades rather than just tell me the truth, because it was easier, because my pain didn't matter. Only his freedom mattered, only his escape, only his chance to become someone else, someone better, someone who wasn't my son. The last paragraph destroyed me. He wrote, "This is goodbye, Dad, even though you'll never read this. I'm burying this box under the barn because I need to let it all out somewhere. Need to write down the truth before I go. The truth is, I don't hate you. I hate what you represent. I hate poverty. I hate shame. I hate having nothing. And you are all of those things. You tried your best. I know that. But your best wasn't good enough. And I can't spend my life being grateful for scraps. Can't spend my life pretending love is enough when I'm starving for more. So I'm leaving. And I'm never coming back. I hope you forget about me. I hope you move on. Because I'm going to forget about you. Going to erase you from my life completely. You'll always be my father. But I'll never be your son again." I read that last line over and over. I'll never be your son again. He made the decision, made it before he left. I wasn't losing my son. I already lost him. Lost him years ago, before he walked out that door. He stopped being my son in his heart long before his body left. And I never knew. Never saw it. Just kept loving him. Kept waiting. Kept hoping. For 20 years. Hoping for a son who decided he would never be my son again. I sat on that cold barn floor until it was completely dark. The letters scattered around me. My son's words. My son's truth. My son's hatred written in his own handwriting. I picked them up one by one. Read them again. Every cruel word. Every painful confession. Every moment he wished I was dead or different or gone. I read them until I had them memorized. Until every word was burned into my brain, until I understood completely that my son hated me, hated our life, hated everything I was, and chose to erase me rather than stay one more day. I thought about burning the letters, destroying them, pretending I never found them, going back to believing he left for some other reason, some reason that didn't make me the villain. But I couldn't lie to myself anymore, couldn't pretend. This was the truth. This was why he left, and I had to accept it, had to live with it, had to carry this knowledge for however many years I had left. My son was ashamed of me, and nothing I did, nothing I sacrificed, nothing I gave, was enough to overcome that shame. I gathered the letters, put them back in the box, closed it, held it against my chest, and I cried harder than I cried in 20 years, cried for the son I lost. Cried for the father I tried to be. Cried for all the years of waiting, all the birthdays, all the Christmases, all the dinners with 2 plates, all the hope that kept me going. All of it was based on a lie, based on believing my son loved me, based on believing he would come back, based on believing our bond was stronger than his shame. But it wasn't. It never was. And now I knew. I thought about my son, 38 years old now, living somewhere under a different name. A different identity, maybe successful, maybe happy, maybe with a family of his own, maybe telling them his father is dead, maybe never thinking about me at all. Maybe he did forget like he said he would. Maybe I'm just a distant memory, a chapter of his life he closed and never reopened. And I'm still here, still in this house, still waiting, still loving, still being his father, even though he decided he would never be my son again. The cruelest part is, I still love him. Even after reading those letters, even after knowing how much he hated me, how ashamed he was, how close he came to destroying me, I still love him, still would take him back, still would forgive him, still would give him everything I have, because that's what fathers do. We love, even when it's not returned, even when it's rejected, even when it destroys us. I can't stop being his father. Can't stop loving him. Can't stop hoping. even though I know now that hope is pointless, that he's never coming back, that I'll die alone still waiting for a son who chose to forget I exist. I whispered into the darkness of that barn, said the words I've said 1,000 times before, but this time they meant something different. I said, "Son, I never blamed you. I only waited. But now I understand. I wasn't enough. My love wasn't enough. And you had every right to leave, every right to want more, every right to be ashamed. I failed you, not because I didn't try, but because trying wasn't enough. I gave you everything I had. But everything I had was nothing, and you needed more than nothing, so you left. And I don't blame you. I never blamed you. I only waited. And I'll keep waiting. Even though you're never coming back, even though you erased me, even though I'm nothing to you, you'll always be everything to me. 20 years I waited without knowing why he left. Now I know. And somehow that makes it worse, makes the waiting more painful, makes the absence more cruel. Because before I could blame circumstances, could blame bad luck, could blame anything but the truth. But now I know the truth. My son left because I embarrassed him, because loving me was too hard, because being my son was unbearable. And there's no comfort in that truth, no closure, just pain, just the knowledge that I lost my son not to death or distance or time, but to shame, to poverty, to not being good enough. And I'll carry that knowledge to my grave, still loving the boy who buried his hatred beneath my barn and vanished, leaving me with nothing but his words and my unbroken heart.